It does take a village, just like we know in our work as doulas, it takes a village. But we are going to get started. Um, welcome, welcome. Anyway, as I said, I'm Emily Wannenberg. I am the founder and creator of Fourth Trimester Fitness Method. And today I want to talk a little bit of how I built a doula practice that was sustainable and just really has become quite a pleasure to be involved with. Also talk a bit about Fourth Trimester Fitness Method, of course. So if you are here tonight, it's probably because you are a doula or a business owner of some sort, and you are passionate about supporting moms, is what I suppose. But I also know that as women who are involved in supporting the moms in our communities, we need to be able to run a business. And it has to be viable. It's got to support itself as well as supporting us. One of the things that I've noticed as I am working with doulas kind of around the country and even around the world is that one of the common struggles amongst doulas is the constant drive to be able to get more clients, filling their classes if they're teaching classes. And one of the big struggles is really thinking about kind of the long game of being a doula. One of my big concerns about doulas in the work that we do is the fact that the average work lifespan of a doula is less than 3 years. And I think that there's some clear reasons for that. And the longer I'm in this doula work and the longer that I'm working with doulas, the more I feel really passionate about helping doulas build a sustainable practice in this work. So if you haven't met, I'm Emily Wannenberg. I became a nurse midwife back in South Africa. And I was over in South Africa because my family, my dad worked in the United Nations and we traveled a lot growing up. And I had met a midwife as a 13-year-old, and that meeting kind of changed my entire trajectory of what I wanted to be when I grew up. Listening to her stories just really captivated my ideas and excitement for pregnancy and birth. And up to that point, I had been pretty ignorant of it all. Sometimes I tell the story about how in 7th grade, my 7th grade math teacher was pregnant with twins. And I had no idea that she was pregnant with twins. That is how little I knew about the birth world. And so as I became old enough to go on to college, I actually went to become a nurse so that I could be a midwife. Later in my practice, or as I grew, I stopped being a midwife. We moved to the United States, and I moved more into the world of fitness. And then because of my midwifery background, I moved into the world of perinatal fitness. I thought about becoming a midwife again, and part of the process was to become a doula. And so I took a doula training and discovered how much I loved being a doula. So I have now been a doula for 13 years. And when I first started, one of the things that I realized was, first of all, I had no idea about running a business or being a businesswoman. I just kind of was doing it. You know, I'd book my clients. I was very simplistic in my record keeping, and basically my favorites in my phone was my doula register of all my clients. I don't kind of love continuing to talk about myself, but I do love talking about 4TFM. And so I do want to share my journey to this point because I think that it provides the background for how I got to where I am and how 4TFM got to where it is. And also sharing, especially for those of you who are either new to the practice of doula work or have been in the practice of doula work, but just kind of maybe feeling stagnant, maybe giving you some ideas of ways to grow your practice or to move your practice forward in that way. One of the things I know is that if I've done it, you can do it too, just like this Zoom. You know, if I've managed to actually get this far, 3 slides into the Zoom, you guys can do it too. So let's go to the next slide. So this has made me wonder a bit about your journey as doulas as well. And often I'm asked, how did I get my doula business up and running and to be pretty successful over the years? I will say that when I first started as a doula, it really took me about a year to get up and being fully booked full time. And I think that the reason why I was able to do that was because I implemented some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you tonight. When I'm talking with doulas, I hear a lot of similar stories. Next slide. And put a 1 in the chat if maybe this sounds like you. You maybe have been a doula for a number of years. Maybe you've kind of come up against some roadblocks and some challenges. Maybe you love what you do, but you've kind of forgotten why you started. And I think all of us have moments of that during our doula practice where, you know, you kind of wonder, like, why did I think this was a good idea? This is hard. It's hard to get clients. Maybe even you feel a little uncertain about what your skill sets are as you go to a birth. As the slide says, like when you get called to a birth, do you sometimes get anxious and feel almost dreading going because you feel a little stuck? If this is something you can relate to, put a 1 in the chat and just share with us how it is. I mean, we are being vulnerable here, that's for sure, as I struggled just even to get on Zoom today. So some of the common things that we see doulas struggling with are the practical doula challenges, the logistic challenges, the business challenges. Some of the things might be navigating the medical system, learning how to navigate the medical system. I can remember the first time I walked into a hospital suite as a doula, not as a provider. I felt very anxious and unsure as to like what I was allowed to do, even though I'd been through it with my doula training. But just even like, what could I touch? What could I touch? What could I not touch? What could I ask for? Those sorts of things. So if you look at this slide and you're looking at some of the practical challenges of being a doula, can you share with us in the chat, like, what have you experienced? Have you experienced any of these things? I know for a lot of new doulas, they feel very uncertain about contracts and what should be in their contract. They feel very uncertain about setting expectations and boundaries with their clients. They feel uncertain about, you know, bookkeeping, taxes, even things like missing a birth. I mean, who has had the fear of God put into them because they're afraid they've missed a birth and they're checking their phone all night long? I mean, just say an amen in the chat about that. If you haven't felt that yet, you will. You will, where you're checking your phone all night long. It's hard. And a lot of people just don't realize the difficulties and the challenges of being a doula. Yeah, India says she almost missed her last one because it went so fast. We've all had that, where we're on the road and the baby has been born, or you're following your client to the hospital and they're pulling over to the side of the road because that baby's crowning. We've all had that. If you're in this work long enough, you will have that happen. Other big challenges, the emotional challenges of doula work. I am telling you, it can rock you. You know, we have the highs and the lows in this work for sure. How many of you have been? What's the longest birth you've been to? For me, it was 72 hours, and it was one of my first births that I went to as a doula. And it really made me wonder, like, is this for me? Yeah, Mari says a 10-day induction. What the heck? Laura Lee says 45 hours, India 24 hours. And I think the longer we're at this work, we do get better at reading our clients, but there are just still those long as all get out bursts. 4 days, Rebecca McKinney. Yep. Early on, learned a bunch of lessons from that one. And I think those long, hard ones, you do learn a lot of lessons from. Um, I think the issues of setting professional boundaries. How many of you have had that doula client who texts or calls all day and all night long, and they're 24 weeks pregnant and they're just fine? They're just texting you to tell you every little thing, and it's not an emergency. So learning to set those boundaries with our clients is really hard sometimes, because especially as you in the beginning, you can feel like you don't want to hurt their feelings, or scare them off, or earn a reputation as somebody who doesn't take the call. But truly, we have to be able to learn how to set boundaries with our clients. The working alone and the lack of peer support. Do any of you ever feel like you just wish you had that group of doula sisters to lean on? If you don't have that in your practice right now, I really want to encourage you to reach out to some of the doula sisters in your community. It's one of the things that I really value at 4TFM with our instructors, because about 95% of our instructors are doulas. They get it. They get it. And so one of the things that I've loved as an instructor, one of the benefits that you get is Fit for Doula. And at the end of our Fit for Doula practice or exercise session, we have a doula debrief that is absolutely gold. And it's just really, I have found it to be very helpful to me. How many of you have witnessed obstetric violence in your supporting of your clients? How many of you have witnessed or have supported loss, or other really hard issues with the doula work? That's where you just really need that supportive group, that group of doula sisters who get it and that you can lean on. Yeah, Mari says multiple times in her early years. Rachel says, yep, doula friends are so helpful. They really are. Go to the next slide. We love this slide of the gerbil in the spinning wheel, because sometimes I think as doulas, we can feel like we're stuck in that spinning wheel, where we are in that constant struggle of supporting our clients, trying to get the next client, doing our marketing, getting our name out there, networking, all the things that we need to do in order to move our practice forward. Drop a 2 in the chat if you ever feel like you are on that spinning wheel. And if you just are ready to get off of that and find a better, more easy way. Yeah, Mara says 2, for sure. Laura Lee too. Yeah, there are definitely times, and I think it cycles, no pun intended, but I think it cycles. There are times during your practice where you feel like you're just spinning your wheel, or you've gotten stuck. You're doing the same thing again and again, and maybe you feel a little bored with your doula practice. If you ever feel that way, don't feel bad. It's part of the work, and it happens in every job too. Sometimes you can feel like you're alone on the island, like you're so solo, and it can be very, very lonely. If you've ever experienced that, go ahead and drop a 3 in the chat. Shoot, I would drop a 3 in the chat, because I have definitely felt that way at times where it's just lonely. And you just feel like you need a friend, you need a doula sister. Yeah, sometimes it's just like Castaway. Yeah. Who's got a Wilson, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the steps that I think will help you stop spinning your doula wheels. And I want you to know that you're not alone when you feel this way. It's really important for you to know that you're not alone. Um, I've been doing this for 13 years. And sometimes when I feel stagnant or I'm struggling, what has really helped me during that is relying on the plans that I know work, relying on that formula that I know works for my doula practice, that works to help me get my name out there. I've had to move to a new city, and well, I've done it twice now. I moved back to Jacksonville, and then moved back to Knoxville again. And each time it was like starting over. Um, and so that was challenging, but it was a good challenge because it really helped me understand that feeling of being the new gal in town, right? And it also helped me really value the importance of having that community to bounce ideas off of, that community to be encouraged by. And also, it really helped me understand the importance of having someone to mentor you. And I think that every mentor should have a mentor. Um, if you are mentoring other doulas and you don't have a mentor, you should have a mentor. And one of the beauties, I think, of 4TFM is the fact that we have so many of the instructors mentoring one another within the instructor community. Um, so in this slide here that you're seeing, this is one of my original mentors in the perinatal fitness world. And the really beautiful thing that happened here, this is Sheila Watkins. She did some of the very first research on using the Resistable for pregnancy. In fact, she wrote the curriculum for, if you're not familiar with Resistable, it's a company that works with fitness, and they have what we in the doula world know as birth balls. They use the exercise ball in fitness. Sheila is really one of the leaders in the research that went behind using birth balls for pregnancy and in pregnancy fitness. And met Sheila more than 20 years ago at a conference where I had gone to learn about perinatal fitness. I was just trying to further my education and went there. She was the gal leading the instruction. We've stayed in contact all these years, and she's always been a mentor and an encourager to me. And now it's like full circle because she has become one of our Prep for Birth instructors. And so that's been really fun because when she gets on calls, she's really able to share her wisdom with some of our instructors. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. And so now that we're talking about mentoring, I would love to do a little bit of mentoring with you. One of the things I'd like you to do is, if you have in reach with you, grab 3 Post-it notes. Just grab 3 sheets of paper, 3 places that you can write some notes down. And we're going to do a little bit of taking stock of your gifts and your skills, and looking at how you can use those to help boost and build your doula practice. So while we're doing this, I'm going to encourage you to be honest and not be humble. Just tell the truth, really own what you're good at and own what you're challenged by. Because one of the first things that you need to do is really figure out what sets you apart from the crowd. What makes you different from the 300 other doulas in your city? Especially when you're looking at ways to separate yourself, you want to make sure that you are doing something different. So I want you to also write down on one of the Post-it notes, what are your passions? What do you love to do? Now, it can be anything. Maybe it is perinatal fitness. Maybe it's childbirth education. Maybe it's knitting. Write down what your passion is. Also write down, what is an area that you struggle with? Because what I want you to know is that your struggle becomes your strength when you're working with your clients, because that struggle is how they relate to you. how they can really understand and connect to you. It starts to build what we call that know, like, and trust factor. So if I know that Rebecca struggles, I don't know that Rebecca struggles with pelvic organ prolapse, but if I know that she does, and I'm struggling with pelvic organ prolapse, immediately I have a connection with her because I feel like she gets it. She gets it. So that's where sometimes you might feel shy about sharing what you struggle with, but it's what will help other people connect you with. It's just like when Mari, she encouraged me this evening and said, your IT struggles are making us feel human. It's true. And once you put those two pieces together, that's what helps you start to understand who your client is. And you need to understand that because that's how you help your clients find you. So let's talk about who your ideal client might be. And I also want you to start writing this down. And sometimes we talk about a target market. I want you to flip that around a little bit and think about maybe it's a market that targets us instead of us targeting a market. And the reason why I say that is because if you are trying to target a market that doesn't resonate with you, it will never work. It will feel forced, it will feel fake, and that market will not relate to you. Now, let's think about the folks that have hired you so far as doulas, or the folks that are drawn to you. Take a good look at them. So start with your organic market. Who already hires you? Who seeks you out? Think about the client that always follows you. Can you name her? Because I can picture my doula client down to what car she drives, what phone she uses, where her children go to school, where she shops, what her likes and dislikes are. Once you can picture that client in your mind, I want you to start thinking about what are her needs? And the reason why I'm asking you to write these down is because when you're able to name your ideal client and you have her avatar, so to speak, that is how you find your gold nugget for your business. When I look at my client, this is not a picture of my real client, but the bullet points there, that is my client. She's crunchy bougie. She goes to Pilates. She lives in the suburbs. I can promise you that she drives a black upscale SUV. I promise you she does. She buys her children's clothes from Tia. Have you heard of that? She shops at Whole Foods. Her kids eat organic. They all have bento boxes. That is my client. Can you name your client so distinctly? If you can, write client. What's crunchy bougie? Oh, crunchy bougie means that you aren't homesteading. So you're not only eating organic that you grew, but you eat pretty organically in your home, but you also go out to Ruth Chris for dinner. So you're sort of crunchy bougie. And you go to Anthropologie for your clothing. That's kind of crunchy bougie. Maybe some of you are crunchy bougie, which is helpful because then you'll really know your client. On the next slide, we're going to look at how you can find your gold nugget. Looking at this slide, you're going to look at this Venn diagram and you're going to take a look at what are your passions and your skills and your talents. That's where I asked you to not be humble, like be truthful about it. Own your gifts, right? Own your gifts. Look at who your ideal client is. Mine is Bougie Crunchy in her black SUV. And then look at what their needs are. The center spot of that is where your booming business is going to be. And it will work because you have the clientele just waiting for you to service those needs. Go to the next one. Now, what you provide for that client should have various entry points. There we go. All righty. So this slide I really like, and I think you should take a picture of it. The reason why I think you should take a picture of this, a screenshot of this, is because I want you to start thinking about how do you offer something at all these different price points. Everything you offer should sort of swirl around one another and should move clients in at any one of these entry points, but move them down to your high dollar point. So the first level is going to be like those free, low level touch points. Things like freemiums, your free PDF on your website, speaking to a group of moms, like at MOPS, or one of our, well, Sheila, she just talked to a group of Girl Scouts. Thought that was brilliant. She was asked to talk about pelvic floor and core to a group of Girl Scouts. So think about those free offerings that get you in front of your audience. One of the things that I like to do is to offer doing free talks at the out-of-hospital midwifery groups to their centering groups. And I get in there and I have 3 different talks that I do. One's kind of before 28 weeks, one's for that 28-week to full-term group, and one is for their early postpartum group. All 3 of those talks drive clients into my classes. The next level will be kind of those under $40 offerings. So think in your mind, what could you offer that's kind of a quick, easy purchase for a client? Maybe that's going to be something like a hospital packing list, or 5 exercises to release your pelvic floor, or to prepare for birth plan templates, something like that. The third level is going to be specialty classes. So for our 4TFM instructors, that's going to be the prep for birth. That's going to be prep for partner, postpartum recovery, core for all. Those sorts of classes that maybe clients that are not your client will come into that class, get to know, like, and trust you during the class, and then hire you from that. And then the $4 or the high dollar offering is going to be your doula services. But everything should be feeding into that high dollar, nurturing them into that high dollar product that you're offering. So now on another piece of paper, I want you to be thinking about what services could you offer at pregnancy, for postpartum, and then for just lifelong, or what I like to call postpartum, or the perimenopause or menopausal client. Be thinking long term. And if you're a birth doula and you're wondering, well, why would I offer postpartum services or a class for postpartum? It's because a lot of those moms going into postpartum, guess what's going to happen in 2 years? They're going to have another baby, right? That's right, job security, Rebecca says. Yep, she gets it. So one of the things that we really love to do at 4TFM is to support our instructors in keeping that cycle going. And it's that circular support system to your clients, but also what we at 4TFM give to our instructors, because we know we need that continuous encouragement. We need that continuous cycle of staying up with evidence and teaching really top level classes. I'm going to talk a little bit how you could do this as an instructor. Here you see our 4 classes, and this is exactly the model that I didn't know that I had. And I'm going to talk in just a minute a little bit of how it was told to me that I had. I didn't realize I even had any sort of client cycle or model. Excuse me. But what you want to do as a business owner in the birth world is to provide entry points in all these different times. So you want to provide entry points during pregnancy and during postpartum, and as I said before, like the postpartum. So when you look at this slide, in the Prep for Birth class, what happens is that you have brand new first-time mommies coming into that Prep for Birth class. And maybe they are also some of your clients, but they're brand new moms, and maybe they bring a friend with them into that Prep for Birth. They go from Prep for Birth, and then they leave Prep for Birth, and what generally happens is they're like, gosh, I wish my partner could learn all this stuff. And we had a lot of partners asking us, hey, we want to learn how to do all this stuff too. Do you have a class that's for us? So we developed an offer, Prep for Partner. And that class is whiz bang, just exploding. It is so much fun to teach, and the partners love it, love it. So they go to Prep for Partners. So couples are entering into your cycle. And what I can tell you is that often by the end of Prep for Partner, if that couple is not your doula client already, they will be, because that partner loves you. And they're like, I want her to be my doula now that we've met her. And some of our Prep for Partner instructors can attest that this happens. The partners love you by the end of that class. You're with your client for their birth, and then they come into postpartum recovery. Now, the way that I, as a doula, have been running this model is I run my clients like a centering model, like the way midwives do in the out-of-hospital midwifery and in the hospital midwifery practices, where instead of seeing their clients one by one by one, they are seeing their clients in groups. And one of the things that I discovered was that as my doula practice got busier and busier, it was more of a challenge for me to actually do 8 and 9 prenatals a month and 8 and 9 postpartums a month. And so I started offering these classes as part of my doula services. It's part of my package. So all of my doula clients get all of these classes in their doula fee, in their investment as a doula. What it has allowed me to do is to bump up my doula fees, because all of my clients, whether they take this class or not, are paying for these classes. And then what it's done is it has helped me not have to work as hard running and doing as many prenatals, because they are getting the prenatal information in Prep for Birth and Prep for Partner. And then in the postpartum recovery class, I'm laying eyes on those clients every single week for 6 weeks at a time. And so it has helped me really follow up closely with my clients in the postpartum time. Now, what happened was my postpartum recovery moms were leaving, and about 2 years later, they were saying, hey, yes, postpartum recovery classes after they've had the baby. It's a mommy and me class, and I'm going to talk about that class just shortly. It's really fun. After they've had their babies, what was happening was about a year or two later, they were like, yes, they do. They come with their newborn. They were asking, hey, I need a refresher for postpartum recovery. Do you have anything? And so, yes, we do. We have Core for All. And Core for All is an offering that is for all ages and stages. So sometimes in a class, you'll have from grandmoms right down to granddaughters. And that's really a cool experience. And then when they have their second baby, they kind of re-enter that cycle again. And a lot of times by this time, they've told their friends about it. They bring their friends in with them. And before you know it, you've got this cycle that just keeps happening. As Rebecca said earlier, it's like job security. You just keep that cycle going. Go ahead and go to the next slide, because I want to talk a little bit about what actually happened in this class. And it was sort of a huge aha moment for me. And this class is from several years ago. At the time, I was charging $99 for the class. This was for Prep for Birth. Now I charge 150. Some of the instructors charge 180 or 200 for this class. But at the time, I was charging $99, and I had 10 students in this class. One of them is not in this picture. So for the class that day, I made $990 for my 4-hour class. Not bad, right? By the end of the class, 3 of those ladies in that class hired me as their doula. So what was a $990 day became a $9,000 day for me. And this happens every single time I teach Prep for Birth or Prep for Partner. I get new clients out of that class. So if that sounds like a good thing for you, put yes in the chat. Who doesn't want to make a $9,000 day, sign 3 new clients, and boom, your business is just starting to roll in this way. And it happens every single time I teach this class. And some of the instructors here, they're experiencing the same thing, where by the end of the class, the participants are like, oh my gosh, she knows what she's talking about. We have got to have her as our doula. And it happens every single time. No joke. What I want you to know is it can happen for you too, because this is just a few of our instructors. And what we have found is that the method works. This method works. And I was going to tell you a bit about the business model experience, where I didn't even know I had a business model, but it was one of my clients, the partners. He was the one, he said, Emily, you have got quite a business model here. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. Excuse me. And he said, the way you cycle your moms through these classes, he said, you've captivated them and they just stay in this cycle. And every time they have another pregnancy, they enter right back in. And I said, you're right. That does happen. Now, that was an experience I had 13 years ago. And ever since then, I've been like, oh my gosh, this works. This works. And I can promise you that if you implement this way of capturing clients and serving their needs with these classes, it will work for you too. Does it take hustle? You betcha, it does. But you know what? As doulas, we know how to hustle. And if we haven't really gotten good at it yet, one of the beautiful things is that at 4TFM, we're going to mentor you and we're going to help you with marketing, with beautiful literature and handouts and postcards for your classes, and really helping you. A lot of the things that we talk a lot about are how do you fill your classes? It's important to be able to get out and do that. And it takes a little bit of know-how. Now, I want you to meet Alyssa. Go ahead to the next slide. This is Alyssa Ramage. She lives out in California. And she wrote this beautiful testimonial. She said, the virtual learning experience was phenomenal. Having an online course to rewatch and read over and over again, paired with the live Zoom instruction, made it so that I could personally use many different learning strategies in my ability to teach my clients this empowering course. She teaches Prep for Birth out in California. One of the things that we really talk about in our instructor training is the importance of, a lot of times I liken it to teaching in a house. You've got to teach through the front door, you've got to teach through the back door, you've got to teach through the windows and down the chimney too. Meaning you need to learn how to teach to all these different learning styles of your students. And if that's something that you're thinking to yourself like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that, that sounds way crazy, it's one of the things that we teach you in our instructor training. We have very specific manuals where our instructors are able to read directly out of the manuals when they first start teaching. Because we know that when you first start teaching, it's a little scary and you kind of feel like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And maybe you don't have a teaching background and you're thinking, what the heck? This is Kristen Young. Go to the next slide. She is an educator. She's a high school and middle school English teacher. And one of the things I loved, and she's here in Knoxville, Tennessee, is that she said the information that she's learned and continue to learn in the trainings and in the classes and through her relationships with the other instructors is worth its weight in gold. Because every time we get together, we start talking about birth, we start talking about fitness, we start talking about the needs of our clients and how do we support them. And we do that in our open office hours that we have every month. And we do that in our continuing education trainings, like the Boost Your Knowledge sessions that are free and accessible to our instructors as part of their swag package as being an instructor. And when you start teaching the method to your students and to your community, you'll benefit from these gifts as well. So one of the things that we found was that the method, even though we have 4 classes, the method that really works is teaching this prenatal class and teaching a postpartum class. And as I was talking about earlier, the way that I use these 2 classes in particular as a centering model for my clients, that is what allowed me to, at the height of like my doula career, be taking 8 and 9 doula clients a month. And so, you know, sometimes people are like, well, why didn't you go back to midwifery? Sometimes I joke, but it's actually not a joke. I will say, I can't afford to go back to midwifery because I made more money as a doula using this model than I could as a midwife. So that's where I want to encourage you to know that, like, you get out there and hustle, you can make this work for you too. One of our instructors that teaches Prep for Partner, she's been a doula for 1 year. And in less than 1 year, she replaced her corporate salary with her doula work and teaching. And she's using the class to pull in these new clients into her doula practice. So it's working. It's working. And we have a few instructors here that are going to be able to talk about how they've done that. And yeah, Laura Lee, it is the dream. But the thing is that it's not a dream. It is a reality if you implement it in the way that many of us have been doing. So let's look at the classes. Prep for Birth is a 4-hour class. It's for moms, and it's kind of like a girls' night out. They all come and get together, and you are teaching them how to use the birth ball, the peanut ball, the cub. You're teaching them how their pelvis and their body works. You're teaching them how to implement different movement patterns and different positions in labor to facilitate progression of birth. But you're also teaching them exercises to strengthen their mind and their body for the remainder of their pregnancy. And everything that we teach in our classes is backed by evidence. We're really strong on making sure that we have the evidence to support everything we do. So one of the things that you will know as a 4TFM instructor is that about every 2 years, we edit and update our manuals. Does that mean you need to purchase a new manual? No, because we are committed to you to have the most up-to-date information, which means Lara's off to her birth. She's one of our instructors in the doula, but she is, sorry, one of the things we know is that we also invite all of our instructors, this virtual training that's starting at the end of the month, any of our instructors who are already certified or going through the certification for prep for birth and postpartum recovery are invited to the virtual training at no cost, because we want you to come and go over the material again, get your questions answered. We never want you wondering how to do this. We want to help you be excellent at what you do. So prep for birth is the first part of the method, and postpartum recovery is the second part. Postpartum recovery is a class that meets every week for 6 weeks. It's a mommy and me. They bring their babies with them. Now, I saw someone asking, like, can they bring their toddlers? The answer is no. It is for what we say non-mobile babies. I want you to imagine yourself a first-time mommy. You've got your precious little 3-week-old newborn with you at class, and they're on their little mat next to your yoga mat. And you see that 18-month-old toddler charging over to your newborn. Can you imagine trying to pay attention at all in class? So no, we don't allow mobile toddlers or mobile babies. Now, by the end of 6 weeks, are some of the babies crawling? They are, but by that time, the moms all know each other and they feel comfortable with each other's babies. So it's quite a sweet time. They can start postpartum recovery as early as 10 days postpartum from a vaginal birth and 4 to 6 weeks postpartum of a cesarean birth. Now, I have some of my providers that know what we do in postpartum recovery. They will send me their 4-week postpartum clients because they know that the first 2 weeks, what we're doing is nothing more than what those clients are already doing. And so when you have clients who are thinking about, they may be asking you, in fact, when can I start exercising again? Well, one of the things I want you to think to yourself, your client has just had a baby. They're in the hospital, let's say. They've just had their baby. The nurse comes in. What does she have that client do? What is one of the first things she's going to have that client do after she's had her baby and she's had her golden hour, those sorts of things? That nurse is going to get her up and take her to the bathroom. That action of sitting down on the toilet and standing back up, can anybody guess what that is? Just put in the chat what you think that might be. When you sit down on the toilet and you stand back up. Just take a wild guess. Yep, Rebecca's saying it's a squat. So our clients are already squatting 2 hours after they've had a baby. What is the action when they are turning to reach into the bassinet and scoop their baby up? That action is torso rotation. It's flexion, that's right. Deadlift, bicep curl, and standing back up. So our clients, they're already moving their body in functional movement within an hour or two after they've had a baby. Now, what we do in postpartum recovery is we start with the very basics of posture, breathing, helping your brain and your body reconnect, remapping those pathways, helping our clients understand the truth about diastasis recti, the truth about urinary incontinence, and giving them strategies and tips to help support their body during movement. So yeah, we also, in fact, today, Mari, today in my postpartum recovery class, week 2, we were doing pelvic stability moves. And one of the moms said, is this going to help with my SI joint? And I said, yes, it is going to help support your pelvis and help reduce that laxicity that they still have in that early postpartum time. So it's really important what we're doing with them. Now, I want to talk a little bit because I know you all are thinking like, well, what is this investment going to be for us? When you invest in the method, the investment for the 2 classes together and for this training is $2,100. And I know you're thinking, ooh, really? But I want you to remember back to the slide of my $9,000 day. Just keep that in mind about your return on investment. When you invest in the method, yep, and it can be $2,100, Victoria's written in there, upfront as a one-time payment, or very manageable monthly payments of $210 a month, which is basically one student in a class of postpartum recovery and prep for birth. But when you do that, when you become an instructor, this is what you receive. If you took the certification separately, you would pay $925 for prep for birth, $1,500 for postpartum recovery. The value of Fit for Doula, which is gifted to all of our instructors, and Fit for Doula is a membership. We meet 3 times a week and we exercise together, and then afterwards we have a doula debrief, and it is rich. It is my favorite 3 times of the week. I love it. You also get access to the past and present Boost Your Knowledge sessions and the CECs if they're offered. And that's a value of $250. And then mentorship from me and other folks in our group. If you do mentoring with me personally, a 6-month package of mentoring is $37.99. That's separate, but if you're an instructor, I'm available to you. And the gals that are here, I'm not all sure who's here, but they know, they can text me, they can shoot me an email, and I respond to them. Because again, I want you to be excellent in what you do. And I'm also not afraid to be challenged in like, well, why do you do this? Or what do you think about that? Or can you show me where the evidence is for this? Because I know that that keeps me sharp as well. That keeps me sharp as well. I want you to meet Rebecca McKinney. She's one of our instructors, and she is on this call today, and she'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got. But I loved this testimony from Rebecca because Rebecca has taken a lot of different trainings and certified. She's very, very well certified and trained. She's been a doula. I met her when she was just sort of new to doula work. And so we've known each other for a good long time now, because she's been in the business for 12 years, maybe 12, 13 years. But I love what she wrote here. She said, I've taken a bunch of continuing ed over my years as a doula, and I left out the ones that she took because I didn't want to name them specifically, but some were better than others. But by far my biggest level up in my doula business has come with my 4th trimester fitness method certification. One of the things that I know, and a lot of times I'll joke and I'll say, everything you need to know as a doula is in your prep for birth manual. And a lot of the prep for birth instructors will say, oh my gosh, I was at a birth and I pulled everything out of that manual and used it at this birth to help progression of labor. Thank goodness for prep for birth. And I'm like, yay, I love to hear that, because that's also the purpose. We're not only training the moms to be able to help themselves during labor, during their pregnancy and labor and birth, but we also want to help the doulas. I want our instructors to be the best doula in town and to be known for it, to be known for the doula who can get that baby out, to be known for the doula who knows how to progress labor. I want you guys to be known in that way. I mean, who doesn't want to be known that? Put an amen in the chat if you're along the lines of that. I know I can't be alone in that. I want to be known as that too. Now we've got a training coming up. Yep. Yeah, you want to be the doula who gets the babies out. You want the providers to see you coming and think, yep, I'm so excited to see Rebecca here. I'm so excited to see Mari here. I'm excited to see Nicole here, because she knows what she's doing. And it's really like, as a doula yourself, remember when you very first started being a doula? and you were going to your first birth and you're like, I don't really know if I know what I'm doing. Well, let me just tell you, by the end of Prep for Birth, you will know what you're doing. We have, I don't know if Kendra's here tonight, but Kendra is one of our Prep for Birth instructors. She's also a brand new, quote unquote, baby doula down in Texas who is kicking butt. She's taken names left, right, and center. And she is absolutely using everything she's learned in Prep for Birth. And she sends me that text all the time. And I love it. I love getting the text from the doula on the way home from a birth who said, I used everything I learned in Prep for Birth tonight at this birth. Thank goodness. And I'm like, yes, mission accomplished. Now let's look at this next slide she's got here. The fall cohort. It is open. We're opening it now. And this cohort is going to be over 7 weeks. The first 3 weeks are Prep for Birth. And each week will be 3 hours long. And we'll be going through the curriculum, looking at all of the information, looking at the movement patterns that we use, talking about how to use the birth ball, how to use the peanut ball, how to use the cub, how to use different labor positions, why you would use different labor positions. If you are a doula, this is the class for you. Now, remember that centering model that I use in my practice. This is where you pull back into postpartum recovery, because again, I want to see my moms and babies in that postpartum recovery class. All of my clients come through postpartum recovery. So I'm not just doing 1 or 2 postpartum visits with them and then cheers, see you later. No, my clients are coming into 6 weeks. Every single week, they're coming into postpartum recovery with their baby. They're meeting with other moms who are in the same stage as motherhood. And they're building that community. Today at Postpartum Recovery, we went out to Maple Street Biscuit Company afterwards. And one of the moms sat at the table and she started to cry and she said, I was so lonely. She said, and I feel like I've got 6 new best friends. And I almost started crying. I just felt like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we're looking for. It's not just the physical recovery. It's also their emotional recovery from birth. Okay, Mari, I'm going to answer your question at the end. And girlfriend, boy, can I relate to you, because I'm caring for my mother-in-law with dementia. And we both are using our doula skills, aren't we? That's one thing for sure. So this fall cohort, one of the things you should know is that even if you purchase today, you don't have to be in the cohort, but you can get the purchase deal, I'll say, that we're going to be offering today. When you come in and you join 4TFM as an instructor, there are different avenues. You can do online self-paced. I like to do the virtual cohort so that our instructors, whether they're brand new or whether they're, I mean, Rebecca, you've come back as a BBAC to some of our trainings, because the more you come back, the more you go over the material, the better you learn it. And so in this training, in this cohort, will be new and old instructors. So Mari, for you, for example, you may want to purchase now and start the self-paced, knowing that you could come in to another cohort as well. Or if you happen to finish self-paced on your own, you can do that. Now, all of these cohorts will be on Zoom, and the recording will be put into the instructor lounge, we call it. That's where all our information for our instructors is, in the membership. So you'll see we're doing Prep for Birth on those dates, and then postpartum recovery. Now, today, for those of you who are here in attendance, we're doing an early bird discount of $200. So instead of it being $2,100, it would be $1,900, which is a steal of the deal for 2 certifications for Prep for Birth and postpartum recovery. And we're offering that to the first 12 participants who register. Make sure that you use the coupon code method when you check out. This QR code right here will take you to the purchase page. And make sure that you use that method coupon code for that. Excuse me. What we do want to say is thank you so much for coming. And we have a free gift just for coming today. We'd like to offer to give you a business audit. And when you click on this QR code with your phone, it will take you to a form in Jot Forms that just gives us some information about your business. And then I'll be reviewing what you currently offer, reviewing your website, reviewing your social media, and seeing if I can't give you some tips and some ideas of how to improve what you are visually presenting as in your website and social media. But also if there aren't some ideas of how you could grow your business, maybe through our classes or maybe through some of the things you're already doing. Want to give you some really personalized action steps that you can start using right away. When you join our cohort, you'll definitely walk away and enter into that training with more clarity after going through this audit. But spots are limited because I can't do a gazillion audits, but I can do a, 12 or 15. And so the first 12 or 15 that get into that audit, I'm happy to do it. Same thing with the coupon code. Grab those 12 coupon codes for $200 off, $1,900 for the investment. That would be broken down. You can also do that into monthly payments. I want us to go ahead and everybody, we're going to close out the presentation deck, and then everybody just come on screen and let's open it up for questions and answers. If you have questions for any of our instructors, I'm trying to see who is here. Some of them had to go to births, it looks like, but Rebecca McKinney is here. She's been an instructor with us from the beginning, and she teaches everything. But go ahead and ask your questions. We are open books. Happy to answer so much. Hey, Lauren, nice to meet you too. Where are you? Oh, I can't even see you. I just see the big L on your name. But thank you for coming. Oh, hey, Lauren. Hi. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Does anybody have any questions? Did we have any questions, Victoria, that I've missed here? I feel like there was something about postpartum recovery. Let's see, Mari, I see your question about the cohort.
Prep for partner was the other you answered the postpartum recovery question we had of like what age group,
Okay.
It's pre-mobile children. And then yeah, someone was also asking to join.
Non-mobile is like our gentle,
Non-mobile.
non-mobile was our gentle way of saying, don't bring your scary toddler to postpartum recovery with those sweet little 3-week-old babies.
And someone just filled out an audit, so I'm really excited we get to start sending those back. But yes, someone was asking about 2 good questions. Is prep for partner available and is body ready method? Is this the body ready method? Emily, yeah, I would let you could answer that one, but prep for partner, that is a new, I can answer because we're getting everybody so hyped up for everything. Prep for partners, we've introduced it this year. I'll share the link for that as well. So we just wanted to highlight the method, but because it's new, we have decided that people can just join it right now to get this class going and out there. So you could just join Prep for Partner, and I'll share that link now. But Core for All, having taken postpartum recovery is a requirement. You need to have the method before you teach Core for All. So I'm not going to share that solo link, but yes, Prep for Partner is a new class as of this year. I guess officially we launched it in March. Several people are teaching it. And you can, for now, it might one day be something that you must already be an existing method instructor to teach. But because it's new and it's so exciting and we know there's a need, you can just sign up for that. And this kind of dovetails into the question of like, what's up with the live cohorts? The method, Fourth Trimester Fitness Method, you can join our company of instructors like anytime. A company as in like group. You can join us anytime. All of our trainings are virtually available on our teaching platform. These live cohorts are just kind of our chances throughout the year for Emily to kind of live interact just like this, actually teach through the content. Existing instructors can come to these all of the time. So yeah, the live cohort, don't get so tripped up by that. It's just our spots in the year to kind of get extra excited and kind of spread the news loud and proud about what we do. But all of our teaching material is online. It's video driven. It can be self-paced. The live cohort is just sort of a bonus, really, Emily, that you do. We plan out the year of so many different,
I
time.
just think it's, yeah,
It's
I
just
think
great
it's
because
just,
everyone loves both. Like some people like video paced self, and some people want that interaction. So we're like, hey, just come on in. We've got it all different times of the year. We're going through it live, but all the time you can certainly access it anytime. And that's the case for Partner. We just had a live cohort, but you can get that recording. You can get just the teaching material. It's all online. And I did just share the Prep for Partner link in the chat. It's a great,
oh, okay.
very
Yeah.
exciting. It's $1,500 or 12 payments of 150 if you just wanted Prep for Partner. Um, but yeah, and then someone's asking, is this the same as Body Ready Method?
And it is not. It is not. The probably the main difference in Body Ready Method, Spinning Babies, Fourth Trimester Fitness Method, a lot of the different types of classes. The main difference, I would say, between us and Body Ready Method is that we are teaching you how to teach very specific curriculum to your students. These are actual classes. So you might compare us more to like hypnobirthing or hypnobabies, where there's a set curriculum. We teach you exactly how to use this and to use it in your business as a doula. Like Body Ready Method, a lot of the movements, it's like you open the inlet. We all open the inlet kind of the same way, right? You open the outlet kind of the same way. We work with asynclitic heads kind of the same way. But the biggest difference here is that truly these are like, my goal for you is to make money. So I'm always thinking when I do a certification personally, I am thinking to myself, and maybe I'm the only one that thinks this way. Maybe you guys don't. I don't know. If you think this way, put a $sign in the chat. I don't know. But I personally think, how am I going to make my money back on this investment? And so when I decided that I would do these certifications, I priced these certifications based on what I felt like one full class would be. My goal is for you to make your money back in one full class. Now, does it take hustle to fill that class? Sure. Like anything else, you got to market, right? You got to let people know you exist. A lot of times, like when we hear doulas who say, I can't get any clients, and I'm like, well, who have you let know that well, I told my sister. I'm like, no, girlfriend, you got to post online. You got to answer in the Facebook groups. You've got to have a website. Like people don't just smell that you're a doula and you want to do this. Same thing is true with teaching these classes. You've got to let people know that you teach them. Now, and I'll let Rebecca talk to this actually, but what I will say, and then she can take it from there, I'm putting you on the spot, Rebecca, but is that once people start experiencing the 4TFM classes, it markets itself. It markets itself. Rebecca, you want to jump in? Talk about what you do and who you are and how you got here.
Sorry, it took me a second to figure out how to unmute myself. Not so great on the technology over here either. Yeah, so, oh my gosh, teaching childbirth education for, you know, most of the time I've been a doula, and then finally adding in the 4TFM classes has just, so I incorporated all the classes into my services. And so now when people sign up for me as a doula, they not only get everything that that's involved in my doula services, but they also get prep for birth, prep for partner, the childbirth education class, the hypnobirthing that I teach, and postpartum recovery. And so it helped me to be able to raise my fee significantly. And just like Emily, everyone pays for all the classes regardless if they take them or not. They try really hard to take them because they're paying for them. Um, but I have found that because I increased the value so greatly of what I'm offering, people didn't bat an eye at the increased fee, the significantly increased fee. So that's been awesome and encouraging for me. I was so scared to go up on my fee, so hesitant. Poor
You
Emily had
what?
to
She
drag
was
me
like,
up.
"Can I do it?" I was like, "Girl, you can do it. You're worth it."
I
Thank
remember when you dragged me up from 300 to 500 for doula services.
I know.
Years,
I was like, "What are you doing?" You're
and then like
practically
the next month you were like, okay, 1,000.
and now?
Yeah, now I charge 2,900 and I'm actually thinking of increasing that. I'm playing around with it because it's still kind of a new model for me. But yeah, 2,900 and I'm already booked into like March, 4 clients each month, January, February, March already, and everybody is paying that full fee, even repeat clients who have already taken my hypnobirthing. They're just so excited to take it again for a refresher and take all the 4TFM classes. So it's
And
been
that's the interesting thing that I noticed was that my repeat clients, like one of the things they say is, "I can't wait to take prep for birth again."
right.
I'm like, "Cool, that's awesome,"
And
and
I
like they
thought everyone would balk at the higher price because I was much lower when they had no. They would have paid me double for the first time I was their doula, and that's what they said, and so they are now, and they meant it.
yeah. And
Especially their husbands. When their husbands are on board, they're like, "Yes, pay her whatever she wants. Does she want the first kid? We'll give her that too."
yeah, yeah. Amy, you were saying that one of the challenges that you're having is finding clients, and that's one of the things that we talk a lot about how to build your practice and how to market it so that it is really attractive to clients out there, and it's truly what will set you apart from kind of like you never want to be. I don't know if you've ever heard of the doula dead zone. Okay, so the doula dead zone refers to the doulas, and
I was in it.
you were in it. You were in it, and we probably were all in it at some stage, right? But it's kind of where like 70% of the doulas sit price wise, right? And what happens is there's so many doulas in that group that it's hard to get noticed. And so when you do things to elevate your services and to elevate your expertise, and then are known for that in your community, once that is established, the doula clients just come in. And you start getting messages. I just got one the other day. "We're thinking about getting pregnant next year. We've been looking at your website and love everything you're offering. Love your background. Love what it seems like you're an expert in." They're not even pregnant yet, but they're doing their research, but they're shopping, right? They're shop-a-doulas right now. They're shopping for a doula, even though they're not pregnant yet. And when they see like, "Oh my gosh, look at all these things this doula offers compared to doula Susie down the street," it helps you be able to have a higher doula fee so you're not in that doula dead zone.